Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with a video.
My mom died 10 years ago, and my dad was so miserable. I was 20 years old when it happened. It was very unexpected as we were all living so happily. The next thing we knew, my dad got a phone call to come to the hospital. My mom was in a ghastly car accident, and it was a surprise that she didn't die instantly. I never thought I would have to live without my mom so soon. I was my parents' only child, so it was just my dad and me after she died. I couldn't grieve as much as I should have because I wanted to be strong for my dad. I wanted him to know that I was okay and that we would be okay. I often cried, but I made sure that he didn't see me just because I didn't want to make things worse for him. After a year or two of mourning, I expected my dad would start dating again, but he didn't. Years passed by, but he never talked about another woman. He didn't even go out on dates with anybody. I thought that he didn't want to date anyone because of me. Maybe he thought that I would not be comfortable with it, or that I wasn't ready to have somebody else replace my mom. If only he knew that I didn't think about it that way. One of my friends advised me to speak to him, so I did. I asked him why he was not dating. This was 7 years ago. I told him that I was okay with him seeing someone else. It was a given that no one could replace my mom, but I wanted him to be happy again. I was hardly ever in the house now because I was doing my own thing and had my own place. He told me that I was the reason he wasn't dating at first because he didn't want me to feel uncomfortable. But later it became easier for him that way. He could not imagine dating someone who wasn't my mom. I made him promise to start dating again or at least go out so he could meet new people. He started going out on dates but never twice went with the same person. It was like he was disqualifying them at the slightest chance that he got. He met a lady whose husband had also died almost 5 years ago. I noticed that he kept going on more dates with her, and whenever he spoke about her, he was always excited. I was so happy that he finally met someone. One evening, when I came to visit him, he told me that he wanted to marry Lucy, not her real name. She said that she and her kids were a package deal, and she was only going to be with him if they would be accepted too. He wanted to know if I was okay with it. I didn't really care that she had kids. Besides, I was an only child for a very long time, and I always wanted to know how it felt like to have siblings. Lucy had 2 kids. They were much younger than me. I was excited to meet them, but we didn't really hit it off the way I had hoped we would, so I let them be. We met each other at family dinners or on vacations and tried to be decent with each other. I preferred her son to her daughter, though he seemed indifferent to me most times. He was like that with virtually everyone, so I didn't take it personally. On the other hand, his sister seemed to not like me at all, and I don't know why. She became more neutral, which was better than how she behaved towards me before. We were not good with each other, but we were not bad either. I guess her mom spoke to her, and that was the best she could do. We are grown-ups now, so we have to suck it up and tolerate each other. We got along only because of our parents. I know she had been dating a guy for a while. My dad told me that he had proposed to her, and I was genuinely happy for her. He asked me to come home that weekend because they would celebrate her engagement at the house. I wanted so much to find an excuse, but I decided not to. When I came home, my dad and Lucy were preparing dinner in the kitchen. Lucy was one of the nicest people I have ever met. I just wonder where her daughter came from. I made myself at home while they made one of Dad's famous recipes. I loved the corn pie. During dinner, my half-sister kept going on and on about how excited she was to start a family. We all told her that we were happy for her and wished her well. During dinner, her mood changed a bit because she didn't think that she and her fiancé had enough funds to pull off a wedding. In my opinion, I thought it didn't have to be so big if they couldn't afford it. It was really the joining together that mattered. The ceremony wasn't that important. I didn't say that out loud, though, because I knew most of them would disagree. My half-sister asked me to sponsor her wedding. I was not expecting that, seeing as we didn't even behave like we were sisters. I didn't want to do it, but when I looked at my dad and Lucy, my heart melted, so I agreed. I could afford to pay for her wedding. I told her that I would have to approve the budget because I wasn't trying to go bankrupt, and she agreed. It was the first time she willingly gave me a hug. After dinner, my dad called me aside to thank me for agreeing to pay for Abby's, my half sister's, wedding. He knew that I didn't need to, and I only did it because of him and Lucy. As the weeks passed, we made the budget. I cut down a lot of excesses, but still maintained the basis of what she wanted. It wasn't her money she was spending, so I wasn't going to let her be careless with my money. I had a couple of contacts for many things that we needed for the wedding, so we got several favors and discounts, which further reduced our expenses. I took the wedding like it was mine and made it so that everything was going smoothly. I'm not a fan of doing things on credit, so I paid for everything, mainly because I didn't want to be tied down after the wedding trying to pay off debt. That was the primary reason I was particular about the budget. I was only going to pay for what I was comfortable with. After all, it was just for one day. I handled all the logistics, spoke to the different vendors, and did all the negotiations. You can say that I planned the wedding. I left my half-sister and her husband to deal with the invitations. We had decided that it would be an invite-only wedding, and everyone had to show their card at the door before they were permitted in. We did this because of something that happened with my cousin during her wedding. A lot of people brought plus ones, and it was a low-budget wedding, so excess wasn't catered for. My cousin and her family felt embarrassed. I personally don't get why people go to ceremonies that they were not invited to. I thought my half-sister and I were beginning to get along more until the most unexpected thing happened. I didn't get an invitation card. Whenever I asked for it, my half-sister always found a way to change the subject. She was really good at doing that. The day before the wedding, I still didn't have an invitation card, and everyone else I knew had theirs. She told me to stop disturbing her and that I wasn't invited to her wedding. I was confused. She made me pay for the whole thing and didn't expect me to be there. I had so many things to say to her, but I decided that it wasn't worth it. I told her that I hoped she knew that I could cancel everything and not one vendor would show up because all the payments were in my name and I was the one who contacted them in the first place. I guess she hadn't realized that before opening her mouth to say all she said, because I could tell that my statement took her aback. She started to get frantic and said that she didn't want me at her wedding and I could do worse if I was that heartless. She said that I stole her mother from her, so she hated me. I was dumbfounded because I didn't know she thought I had taken her mother away from her. I didn't even understand how she could think that. Yes, I was indeed close to Lucy, but that was because she was a fantastic person. Still, I never fought for her affection in any way or tried to prevent Lucy from being there for her own kid. It became a big argument, and our parents heard of it. I felt embarrassed to have stooped so low to have an argument with Abby. I decided to take the high road. I told her that she could enjoy her wedding and that I wasn't going to be there, but as she enjoyed it, she should also remember that I was the reason she had a wedding in the first place. Once I said that, I left without giving her the opportunity for a comeback. My dad and Lucy tried to call me. Even Abby's brother, who didn't really care much about drama, tried to reach me, but I had made my decision. I wasn't going to force my way into a wedding that I didn't want. I think of myself more highly than that, and the money I spent, I would think of it as charity. NTA. I would have cancelled everything once Abby said you were not invited. I have no business taking the high road. Two can play the game. She wanted to eat her cake and have it, and you let her, which actually annoys me. NTA. I think it is okay that you let her have the wedding. It would have created more problems in the family. Your relationship with Lucy may have gotten ruined. Now, Abby, for sure, is the only wrong person in the story. If she thinks you stole her mother away from her, that's for her to settle. It has nothing to do with you.
Next story.
I'm a 36-year-old doctor and a father of two boys, both 8. I'm also gay, but I've always wanted children. So me and my best friend, 36-year-old female, decided to try for kids together. after finishing our studies as we believed we'd make good co-parents. And it's worked out really well so far. We live in the same neighborhood in separate houses and share custody 50-50, no formal custody agreement. The boys spend a week at my place and spend the next week at hers. We also have a family dinner on Sundays where we all go out to grab a meal together. I work as a doctor full-time, 50-ish hours a week, and spend the evenings with my children on the weeks that I have them. On alternate weeks, I work my usual doctor hours, but also spend the evenings running my small, profitable e-learning business. I work 100+ hours combined on the weeks that I don't have my children on. Things have run smoothly until about 3 months ago when my children's mother started dating a child-free man. She is absolutely smitten by him and now plans to move in with him. She called me a week ago and asked to change when we each have the kids. She asked to only have them on weekends from now onwards, while I have them during the week. This is how our conversation went. I told her if she was doing this for her new boyfriend, she was being ridiculous, and that she should rethink dating a man who is child-free when she has children. She screamed back that she could date whomever she likes and that she's put her life on the back burner for too long for me and the kids. I laughed and replied, "Me? I never asked you for anything nor ever tried to interfere in your personal life." She got very childish and told me it was because I had no personal life, which is admittedly true as I'm always busy with work and the kids. She proceeded to call me a shit parent who loved my work more than the kids and that I didn't need to work in the evenings on my extracurriculars anyway. I reminded her my business paid for her house. She hung up on me and sent me a text telling me that I was financially blackmailing her. Since then, she's threatened to take me to court over unpaid child support, which is honestly baffling as we share custody 50-50. I also pay for all the expensive things the boys need, from their music lessons to all their clothes and electronics. I guess she would have a case as I earn much more than she does, but she's also never mentioned taking me to court before. I think she should just agree, as I think the boys, who aren't aware of the situation yet, may end up feeling rejected, sidelined, by their mother. The last thing I'd want is for them to think I, too, wasn't prioritizing them. I'd also hate to get lawyers and courts involved over child support and custody agreements and stuff. AITA? In some places, child support depends on the number of overnight visits and who pays for medical insurance. You need to see a lawyer. Yesterday. This situation can spiral down pretty quickly based on her behavior since she started seeing this child-free guy. NTA, and keep us posted. NTA, you definitely need to get a lawyer involved to protect your kids and yourself. Your baby mama wanting to change the arrangement solely because of this new man in her life has me thinking she is the AH. I personally don't have my own kids, but my SO does. I would never ask him to rethink his custody arrangement to accommodate me. That just seems very selfish and off the wall to me.
Next story.
All right, so this is so stupid, but it has turned into a problem for our friend group. So I, 26 male, am single, and so is a lot of my friend group. We tend to talk about our relationships pretty openly, as we are a tight group. So me and my friend, Jenny, 27, tend to always take the opposite point of view on things. I lean conservative, and she is very much left-leaning. She's a feminist and is very local about social issues. We always keep things civil and friendly. We are good friends, but kind of rivals, if that makes sense. The friend group loves to get the two of us going. So recently I was dating a girl casually. After a few dates, she said she wasn't feeling a spark, but really wanted to stay friends. I told her that she was a very nice person, but I didn't see us being friends. The girl and Jenny know each other, so I think Jenny found out about it. So Jenny asked in front of the friend group why I didn't want to stay friends with the said girl. I said I just didn't really view her as a friend. This started a whole debate on whether guys and girls can be friends. I said that yes, that could be, but not if the original goal was a romantic one. She said that I was wrong and she had plenty of guy friends who were once potential relationships. I said, BS, that those guys are on her roster waiting on a chance. She said I was wrong and started calling me a douche. I said it's simple facts, that unless they were always just friends, those guys would jump at the chance to have sex with her if given the chance. We are pre-gaming to go out, so our whole friend group debated this over an hour. Jenny kept getting pissed at me individually, though, saying how insulting it is to imply guys are only her friend to get in her pants. I said maybe not every guy, but a majority of those dudes on her roster are waiting for a call-up. She said, "Want to bet?" I said, "Sure, let's do it." I said, "Text 3 of your closest guy friends that you are lonely and want to hook up. I'll bet 2 of the 3 will show up within 30 minutes." She laughed and said, "How much?" This is easy money. We agreed on $100, and the friend group got super invested in this bet. Well, she sent out the text, and all 3 dudes started texting her, asking her when she wanted them to come over. She got all upset and went to the bathroom. I read the room and didn't make fun of her once she came back, but I told her she needed to pay up. She told me she wasn't paying because it was a stupid bet that proved nothing. I said that I would have paid if I was wrong, so she needed to pay up on her bet. The guys all agree she made the bet and needs to pay up. The girls are saying I'm being an a-hole about it. I think it's all fair because she took the bet confident that she would win, and I'm sure if I was wrong and didn't want to pay, I'd be getting roasted for it. AITA? YTA. So, if you live in a fairly small dating pool, you're going to find that socially cutting off anyone you pursued romantically but didn't have a spark with is a way to have no connections to a large social group. You're putting women into a completely exclusive sex/friend dynamic, and that's sort of self-defeating. The woman you stay friends with is also the way that you stay friends with her social network, which might have the coworker's roommate's cousin's friend from church who is your soulmate. Who knows? You shouldn't have offered a hookup as a test. That's not cool. And it's not a good test of friendship except for your absolute binary. There are plenty of friendships that also involve hookups on mutually satisfying terms. People's sex lives aren't something to make public, jokey bets about, dude. Why are you treating your friends like this? Your view of relationships and women is really rigid and not a great long-term sustainable way to go. You don't have to have friendship sex buddies, but don't act like it's impossible for anybody else.